Yeah, not good. It's not ideal around here. Our worst weekend.
Hold on, because what happened at Suzuka this weekend is something nobody saw coming. Max Verstappen knocked out in Q2, beaten by rookies who had never even seen this circuit before, driving a car he himself called undrivable. His own dad came out this week and said the future looks bleak. The team he rejected is now sitting on pole at his circuit. And some people are already asking, should Christian Horner be back? Should the man who built this empire be the one to save it? Because the worst part right now is that there are no upgrades coming, no easy fix on the horizon. Today, we are breaking all of it down. The broken car, the rookies who embarrassed him, and exactly what this means for Max's future in Formula One. Beyond frustrated, Max hints at F1 future. So let's start with what Max actually said after qualifying, because these are not the words of a man who is just having a rough weekend. When a reporter asked him what he needs to figure out, Max looked straight ahead and said, "Life. Life here. That is it. That is all he said." And honestly, that line hit harder than any angry rant ever could. This is a man who has won everything there is to win in Formula One, and right now, he is genuinely questioning whether any of this is even worth it anymore. F1's own rule makers have now been forced to schedule a meeting after this race to discuss the regulations, because even they know something is broken. The sport's biggest star is publicly falling apart, and they cannot ignore it. Jos Verstappen's brutal verdict. And if Max's own words were uncomfortable to hear, wait until you hear what his dad said. Jos Verstappen, the man who has been in motorsport his entire life, who pushed Max from karting all the way to 4 world titles, sat down with a Dutch newspaper this week and said he sees Max's future as pretty bleak. And then he said something that really stuck with me. He said that during the China race, he woke up in the middle of the night to watch it on TV, watched for 15 minutes, then turned it off and went back to sleep. He said he had never done that before in his entire life watching Formula One. Think about what that means. Jos Verstappen, who breathes racing, could not even bring himself to watch his own son drive anymore. That is not a bad weekend. That is a crisis. A car that refuses to be driven. Now here is the part where people usually say, well, maybe it is just a setup issue. Maybe next race will be different. And I get that. But let me tell you what Max was saying on his team radio at Suzuka, the circuit he has dominated for 4 straight years. He said the car just completely stops turning mid-corner. He said there is massive, unpredictable oversteer on entry into every high-speed corner. And then he used the word undrivable. Not difficult, not tricky, undrivable. Red Bull had brought a whole new aero package to Japan. New side pods, new floor, new engine cover, all of it designed to fix exactly these problems. And Max came out of qualifying telling the team it made 0 difference. Even Red Bull's own team principal stood in front of the cameras and admitted they have significant shortcomings with this car. So no, this is not a setup issue. Something is genuinely, fundamentally wrong. The kids who took his crown. Okay, so now we know just how bad things are. But here is the part that I think really puts the pain into perspective. Because it is one thing to struggle. It is a completely different thing to get beaten by rookies. Kimi Antonelli, 19 years old, took pole at Suzuka this weekend. Back-to-back poles now, China and Japan, at the very circuit Max has owned since 2022. The team Max rejected, the team he chose Red Bull over, is now dominating at his home circuit. And Antonelli is not just winning, he is already breaking records, becoming one of the youngest ever pole sitters in Formula One history. But wait, it actually gets worse for Max. His own teammate, Isaac Hadjar, who is also a rookie, also outqualified him and made it into Q3 in 8th place. And then, and this is the one that really stings, an 18-year-old called Arvid Lindblad, driving for Red Bull's junior team Racing Bulls, knocked Max out of Q2 by 0.153 seconds. This kid had never raced at Suzuka before in his life. He came to the circuit, learned it in practice, and then on a single flying lap in qualifying, eliminated a 4-time world champion. The very program that Max helped inspire, the Red Bull Junior Academy, just ate him alive. Every lap is a fight just to stay alive. And look, when you hear all of that, you might think, okay, qualifying was bad, but surely the car cannot be that terrible over a race distance. So let me take you back to China, because Max said something there that I genuinely could not stop thinking about. He said, and these are his exact words, "Every lap is survival for me." Not every race, every single lap. He said he cannot lean on the car, he cannot build any rhythm, he cannot push through any corner with confidence because the car will just bite him whenever it feels like it. At Suzuka this weekend, it was even worse. He said the rear of the car was jumping underneath him unpredictably through the high-speed sections, the same sections where he used to be faster than everyone on the planet. And on top of all that, he is losing positions at the start of every race because the engine is not delivering power cleanly off the line. Everything that used to make Max Verstappen unstoppable, the confidence, the aggression, the ability to attack, is being taken away from him, one broken system at a time. A recovery that changes nothing. So the race happened. And look, if you want something positive, Max did recover. He started P11, fought his way through traffic, and crossed the line in 8th place. 3 positions gained in a race. And yeah, for a moment that sounds respectable. But here is the thing. While Max was stuck behind Pierre Gasly's Alpine for lap after lap, unable to overtake, Kimi Antonelli was winning his 2nd race in a row and becoming the youngest driver in Formula One history to lead the championship. That is the gap right now. Max is scrapping for P8. The teenager he inspired is making history, and that right there is the perfect setup for everything we are about to break down. What happened next? So here's where we are. A 4-time world champion knocked out in Q2 at the circuit he used to own. His dad publicly saying the future looks bleak, his own car described as undrivable, and 3 rookies all performing better than him in the same qualifying session. This is not a slump. This is a structural collapse. And here is my honest opinion. I think the scariest part of all of this is not where Max is right now. It is that there is no obvious fix coming. Red Bull brought upgrades, they did not work. They fired Horner, the man who built the whole dynasty, and things got worse. The 2026 regulations are not changing anytime soon. So the real question I want to leave you with is this. How long can Max Verstappen stay loyal to a team that is failing him before that loyalty starts to feel less like love and more like a trap? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to see exactly how Red Bull went from the most dominant team in F1 history to this, that video is right here.